Hello everybody and welcome to the second part of my 2000 subscriber milestone video. We are still doing an Ask Me Anything and I still have a lot of questions to answer. So I hope I will be able to finish them today, but I can't guarantee that because it's still a lot of questions. So in the first part I answered all the questions that were about myself and my interests. And now we get to the category of questions that are about my channel, my Let's Plays, and about games in general. So without further ado, let's start with the first question. And it's another one from Marco. Was there a specific reason or trigger to start your channel? If so, what was it? And we have another similar question. What made you decide to become a YouTuber and record Let's Plays? Do you play games just for recording, because it makes it more interesting, or because you might as well? And we have a somewhat related question by Frida. What is the story behind your English-speaking channel? Did you move from your native country? I love your language, love the thoughts and reasons behind every decision in games, so I want to know how it began. So, all of these questions are about the origin of my channel, which was like literally Dragon Age Origins. It's the first game that I played, but there wasn't any specific trigger. I was watching Let's Plays myself. I kinda had the habit to talk to myself while playing games even before making Let's Plays. So I figured, well, I might as well try this. And I honestly didn't expect much out of it. I figured, well, you know, if I get a few dozen views and maybe a comment every now and then, that would be great. Because honestly, there's a lot of Let's Play channels out there, and mine isn't even like overly special or unique. So I didn't expect to get 2000 subscribers by any stretch. So I'm still very happy about this. It is true, however, that thanks to my channel, I'm actually playing more games than I did before, because I kind of had the habit to just play the same games over and over again. Or, you know, I played open-ended games like, I don't know, Minecraft or Civilization, and I always had trouble starting a new game because I never could decide what to play, or sometimes I couldn't get through the learning curve of the early gameplay. So there are a lot of games on my channel I probably would not have played if it wasn't for the channel. For example, The Walking Dead, or Life is Strange, because they were kinda under my radar. I probably wouldn't have played Deus Ex, and maybe not even Mass Effect, because in my mind I kinda had it tagged as some sort of shooter game, which isn't really my kind of thing. So I'm not sure if I would have played many of the games on my channel. I might have played Dragon Age or even the Witcher series. On the other hand, the first games of those series, they have kinda complicated and or clunky combat systems, so it might have been the case that I, you know, quit after a few hours. So yeah, doing a Let's Play on these games certainly helped me to get over that initial phase and get into the game. And so far I enjoyed all the games on my channel, so I'm very happy that I tried all the games that I did. Now, as for the second part of the question, why English? Since it's obviously not my native language. I did not move from my native country. I still live in Germany. However, I was used to play games in English, just like I'm used to watch movies or TV shows in English, assuming that's the original language of that movie, which it usually is. And I thought it would be kind of weird if I played the games in English and then made German commentary. I mean, I'm sure there are German Let's Play channels that do that. I wouldn't be surprised. But I felt it would be weird, so I decided I should stick with either fully German, you know, German games, German commentary, or I should do both in English, and I decided to go for English. Plus, it's a good practice for me to keep my English sort of fluent. Anyway, I hope that answers that question. Let's go on to the next. I remember when this was a cooking YouTube channel. Will it ever be again? Now, I'm guessing this anonymous question asker refers to my first subscriber milestone video, the one that I did for 100 subscribers, because for that milestone I made a cooking video and I made Farrell and Feast Day fish, which is a recipe you can find in a codex entry in Dragon Age Origins. I think it's called fluffy mackerel pudding, and it's about as weird and awful as it sounds, but I actually made it, I tried it, and it was an interesting experience. Will I ever do another video like that again? I don't know. If I find something interesting, something relevant to my channel that I could cook, maybe. But I don't have any real plans at the moment. But thanks for asking, and I will try to remember to put a link to that subscriber video in the description of this video, so if you haven't seen that video, feel free to check it out. Alright, next question, and this is probably the most common question that I received, so I got several versions of it. First, Javad asks, favorite Let's Play you've done so far? And another question is, out of all the games you've played on your channel, which one is your favorite and which is your least favorite and why? And a similar question, of the games you've played on your channel so far, which one is your favorite and what about your favorite playthrough on the channel? Now I guess favorite game and favorite playthrough or favorite Let's Play can be different, so I will try to answer all of it. First let's start with my favorite game, and that's actually difficult because, like I said, I pretty much enjoyed all the games, to different degrees obviously. And personally I find it very hard to compare, for example, a game like Dragon Age Origins to a game like, I don't know, Mass Effect 3, or even to a game like Dragon Age Inquisition, because it has a different style, it has a different play combat system and stuff like that. It has a different focus. So, you know, they all have their strengths and weaknesses, and I find it very hard to rank it objectively. So I'm not even going to bother being objective here, and I just go with my first emotional response, and in that case I would probably go for Dragon Age Inquisition. I couldn't even say why, I just really enjoyed that game. I'm not sure if I enjoyed it more than Origins, which I think was a great game, but I'm just going with Inquisition, because that's the first that, you know, came to my mind when I thought about favorite game. And like I said, this isn't objective at all, but that's what I'm going to pick. One thing that I can tell you about why I liked Inquisition over, for example, the very excellent The Witcher 3 is because in Dragon Age I can play my own character and I can create my own character, whereas in The Witcher I have to play a predefined character. Sure, I have some leeway in making decisions, but it's not really my own character. And that is something that I enjoy in Dragon Age. As for favorite Let's Play or playthrough, I would actually pick a different game here, because I think that open world games, I enjoy open world games a lot, but I think they are a little bit problematic for a playthrough because it's in the nature of the game to have filler content. And even though I added, you know, boring stuff out of the episodes usually, I think it kind of shows in open world playthrough that there are more episodes that might not be like super interesting. So as for favorite Let's Play, I'm going to pick a game that has a more focused story, and I think I'm going with Mass Effect 3 here, because it had a very uh, linear focused story. It wasn't too long, and yes, the ending wasn't the best, but I like that game a lot, and I know it's unpopular and even heretical, but I liked it more than Mass Effect 2. So that's what I'm going to pick for favorite Let's Play. As for my least favorite game, that's actually even harder because, like I said, there were no games that I've played so far that I disliked or that I completely not enjoyed. I'm honestly not sure what I would do if I started a game and then found out that I didn't enjoy it. Um, it would probably depend on how long the game is. If it was a short game, I would probably, pull through and finish it. But if it was a very long game and I realize I'm not having fun doing this, I would probably stop the playthrough, because I think it's important that I enjoy it, and if I don't, the quality of my videos wouldn't be good, and you would probably not be enjoying it. So if there really was a game on my channel that I didn't enjoy, I think you would notice that. But yeah, I have to pick one, so I think I'm going with Dragon Age 2. I mean, I liked it well enough, but if I think back at the post-game discussions, I feel that Dragon Age 2 was the game where I had the most complaints. So I'm going to pick that for lack of better options. Alright, let's go on with the next question, which is a little bit related. Which of your Let's Plays would you recommend a first-time viewer to watch first? That's an interesting question. Interestingly enough, my very first Let's Play, Dragon Age Origin, still gets a lot of views, and I still get subscribers from that Let's Play. So apparently, for many of my viewers, that is my first playthrough. However, I probably wouldn't recommend it simply because it was my first Let's Play, and I do sound very awkward, especially at the beginning of that game. And I would like to think that I have improved since then. So I think it's a good Let's Play to watch, but I wouldn't recommend it to a first-time viewer. Instead, I think I might go with Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect 1 because, first of all, it's the first in a series, so you wouldn't start somewhere in the middle of a series, and that's why I wouldn't pick Inquisition, for example. I have already been, fairly practiced by that point, so I don't sound as awkward anymore. It is not too long. It has, a good length, but it's not like a playthrough with 100 episodes or whatever. And I do believe that the first episode of Mass Effect 1 has one of the highest views to likes ratio of any of my videos, so apparently a lot of people enjoyed that one. So yeah, that's what I recommend to first time viewer. Okay, next question. Another one from Marco. What's your schedule like in general? You upload about 45 minutes worth of gameplay every day, which is more than a lot of professional streamers' Let's Players do. Add editing, which pure streamers don't need, and it's even more impressive. And another similar question. How do you actually manage to upload videos so consistently? It's such a difficult thing to do. Insert stereotype about German efficiency. Well, first of all, thank you. I don't have a real schedule. I usually record a few episodes on the weekend, and then, whatever is missing during the week. It is important to me that I still enjoy it, and that I have fun doing it, and that I don't force myself to record an episode. Because I feel as soon as I need to force myself to record, episodes, I probably should think about, I don't know, cutting it down and uploading less. Because, like I said earlier, I think it's important that I have fun doing it and that I enjoy doing it. And if I don't, I shouldn't be doing it. Simple as that. Which is also why I probably wouldn't really want to become like a professional streamer or let's player. Not that I could with 2,000 subscribers. But, you know, once you turn a hobby or something that you do for rest and relaxation into a profession, you have to do it, even if you don't feel like it. And you know, if I don't feel like recording, then I don't record. And then I will tell you, well, I'm not going to post an episode tomorrow or whatever. And you will probably accept it. But if I need to upload to pay my bills, then I have to do it whether I like it or not. And I don't really want to do that. So the best way to keep up a schedule is to record when I feel like recording and to not record when I don't feel like recording. And if that means that I have to skip a day or whatever, then I would prefer that. But I mean, that really doesn't happen all that often, so I guess it's okay. Anyway, the next question. Have you ever considered doing live streams on either YouTube or Twitch? Even if it's just a one-off, it might be fun. And another question in the same vein, have you ever considered streaming? I would have to test that. I think the biggest problem here would be upload speed. I mean, I have good internet, I have pretty good download. However, my upload is actually rather crappy, and it's apparently not my ISP's fault, but it might be related to the cabling in my apartment building. So I don't get the upload speed that I should be getting. So I would have to try and see if I can actually stream in decent quality. Uploading a video, an episode to YouTube, takes about, well, 3 hours, so it's more than 3 times the runtime of the video. So you can imagine if I want to stream, I would have to reduce the quality to be able to stream in real time. I don't know, I would have to try it, but I feel that it wouldn't be worth to do on a regular basis, simply because it probably wouldn't look good. A one-off maybe, but regular probably not. And then there's the stuff about different time zones. You know, I'm in Central Europe. A lot of my viewers are in the US. So when I start streaming in the evening, maybe, it's still like early afternoon for a lot of my viewers. So I might have to do it on the weekends when people aren't, you know, at work or whatever. But yeah, I probably won't be like a regular streamer. A one-off, if my upload allows, maybe, but that's probably going to be it. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Will you ever do a face reveal? Probably not. I mean, a while ago someone asked me in the comments if I would do like a face cam. I will most definitely not do a face cam because I personally think that face cams are unnecessary. I don't really like them in my Let's Plays. I mean, I can see the point in certain types of games like horror games or whatever, but for the most part I don't really want to watch some guy's or girl's face when I watch my Let's Plays. But that's not the most important reason. I actually think that I would like to keep a certain amount of privacy on the internet. Call me old-fashioned. As you know from the previous video, I'm kinda old, so I've grown up in a world where people still told me never to give away your name on the internet or your address or whatever. So I guess when it comes to that, I'm a little bit old-fashioned. Not that anyone would recognize me on the streets or whatever, but I just feel more comfortable with not showing my face around all the time. I have actually at some point posted a photo on my Twitter, so if you have been following me, you may have seen the photo, but I was kind of small and I was like hugging a tree, so that was okay. So it's not like I haven't ever shown my face, but like I said, I'm not one to plaster my face all over your face, so it's probably not going to happen other than maybe a photo every now and then. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Have you ever been contacted by indie devs asking you to play their game on your channel? No, I have not been contacted. I honestly don't know if my channel is big enough for that. And even if indie devs do give out keys to small channels like mine, I feel they would focus on channels that actually play indie games, which so far I don't. So yeah, hasn't happened. I mean, if someone would send me a key, I would consider playing it, definitely, even if it's just for a few videos. But they are probably looking for channels that have like a large audience of people who actually watch let's plays of indie games, right? So not mine. Okay, next question from Marco. First video game, most impactful video game you played. Why was it impactful for you? I honestly don't remember my first video game. Like I said last episode, I'm a kid of the 80s and 90s, but I had early contact to computers because my uncle was, well, what you would call an early adopter. He had computers since the 70s, I believe. He was and still is an Apple guy, so he had Apple and Macintosh computers. He wasn't much of a gamer, but he had a few games every now and then. So one of the games that he played would have been my first. It might have been something like Mystery House. I actually remember my my aunts and uncles playing Mystery House, which is like a text-based adventure that has some quote-unquote graphics. The graphics are basically stick figures, which don't even move. It's just, stick figures drawn onto the monitor. And it's about a family that has been murdered, and you find the family murdered in the house. And the funny thing is that my aunts and uncles who were playing the game, they would send me out of the room when they played this game because it was too scary. I mean, I was in kindergarten or whatever, so they sent me out of the room because of a game that had stick figure graphics. I will try to look up some screenshots of that game and maybe put them in the video so you have an idea how it looked like. But you could not tell that the people were dead in the photo. And I couldn't read the text because I was in kindergarten and I think it was in English. So I wouldn't have been able to understand anything. But I had to leave the room because the game was so scary, according to them. So I guess that is my first video game related memory that I have. Alright, I had to take another quick break, but now I'm back and I believe I still need to answer the second part of the previous question. Most impactful video game and why was it impactful? I think I have to go back to another game that I played on my nerd uncle's computer back in the 90s. And that game would be Myst. Myst was basically some kind of point-and-click puzzle adventure. The puzzles were pretty damn hard, by the way. And I think what made it special for its time was that it had really mind-blowing graphics. As a matter of fact, I believe I have like a sort of remastered version on my computer. So once I'm done recording this AMA, I will jump into that game and I will record some footage, maybe try to solve the first puzzle or whatever, and then I'll put it as a background to this video so you have some idea what I'm talking about. So the graphics, they may not look like much by modern standards, but back then they were mind-blowing because it was one of the first games that used like CGI graphics. as opposed to, hand-drawn pixel graphics that you may know from Monkey Island, for example. But Myst had like computer-generated environments that you can move through, which was like, oh, whoa, super amazing back then. And it had like great music and a great atmosphere, so it was quite a milestone for gaming back in the 90s. And I remember the first time when I played it, and I may have been around 12, I don't know. I snuck into my uncle's room, as I always did. My uncle still lives with his parents, and he has his little room. He never married, he never moved out, so he's still living in my grandmother's house with all his computer stuff like a true nerd. So when I was staying with my grandparents, I would sometimes sneak into his room and play games on his computer. And one day I found a new game on his computer. It was on a CD-ROM, one of the first games that came on a CD-ROM, I believe. And I played it, and I think I actually had to turn it off after 5 minutes because I got scared. And the game isn't scary at all. You don't die in the game. There are no enemies in the game. But just because it was so realistic, I got scared. I had to turn off the computer and I left the room. And then I came back a few hours later and tried again. So that was quite impactful for me. And yeah, I remember playing that game for weeks. Not because it's very long, but because it's very hard. And you can't look up puzzles on Google when you're living in the 90s. So you actually had to solve all the puzzles by yourself. And that took a while. I think I still know the solution to a few of the puzzles, so I will try to solve one of them on camera and put it as a background to this video, so you have some idea of my early gaming experiences. Okay, I hope that answers that question. Let's go on to the next question. What's your opinion on backseat gaming? And by that I suppose you mean the unsolicited advice on how to play a game. I think it's more of a problem when you're doing live streams and you try to figure out a problem and people try to tell you how to do it in the chat. Not so much in Let's Plays. And I mean, I usually say it's okay to give me advice regarding gameplay. So I think if I record myself playing video games and then put it on the World Wide Web for people to see, I can't expect people to not give me feedback on it and, not give me criticism or advice or whatever. However, there's one thing that kind of triggers me a little bit, and that is when people give me advice on stuff that I am doing in the very same video. So they see me, trying to figure out a game mechanic or whatever, and then they write a comment, oh, you have to do it like this and that, but I'm actually figuring it out for myself in the very same video. And then I'm like, dude, at least watch this one video before you try to teach me, because, give me some credit. I'm not like stupid. Sometimes I can figure out stuff by myself. So at the very least, watch the video before you start to give me advice. And other than that, I'm fine with it, as long as people don't do it in a patronizing way, or if they, try to spoon feed every piece of gameplay advice to me, I think it's okay. But yeah, every now and then people give me advice on stuff that I'm actually doing in the very same video they comment on, and I think that's a little bit annoying. So if you want to give me advice, you don't even have to watch all my videos, but you should at least watch the one video that you comment on before you comment. So that's all I'm asking in regards of backseat gaming. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Mass Effect or Dragon Age? Well, that's a big one. Well, just as with my answer about my favorite Let's Play, I can't really answer this like objectively. I just have to go with my gut feeling and my emotional reaction. And I guess in this case I would go with Dragon Age. I don't know, I really enjoy the world they build there and the characters. So I think emotionally I feel more attached to Dragon Age. Even though I think that in many regards Mass Effect is a better series. So I know it doesn't really make sense, but um, if I really have to pick a choice here, I'm going to say Dragon Age. There you go. Okay, next question. Least favorite Mass Effect character? Well, I think this is an easy one. It's probably everyone else's least favorite Mass Effect character, and that would be Kai Lang. I mean, who doesn't hate Kai Lang? Seriously. And I mean, it's not just because he's like the bad guy and because he shows up in cutscenes and beats you for some inexplicable reason. Um, I also think that he's just a poorly written character. He doesn't really have much personality. He doesn't have much background inside the game. I believe he has like some background in, I don't know, books or comics or whatever. But inside the game you learn virtually nothing about him. So he's like a bad villain, to be honest, because he has zero personality in the game. So, yeah, not a fan of Kai Lang, but I mean, like I said, who doesn't hate him? So, and I hope that's what you meant with your question, and you didn't mean like least favorite companion or whatever. But I mean, it's that character, and so I guess Kai Lang qualifies. Alright, let's move on to the next question, and the next question is also related to Mass Effect. If in the next Mass Effect game you could have your character be any of the known alien races from the previous games, which would you choose? That is a very interesting question. I'm not sure if you have watched my Dragon Age series, because then you may have noticed that even in those games where you could pick a different race, I always picked the bland and boring human. And I always like to play the bland and boring human, unlike many other people, because they are bland and boring and they provide me a nice empty canvas to create my own character. Whereas the alien races or the non-human races in fantasy games, they are often very specific. You know, a Dalish elf or Krogan. There are very specific stereotypes about how a Krogan should be, and very specific lore requirements for a Dalish elf. So I kinda like to play humans because they seem to be more flexible and I can bend them more to my taste. However, since I want to answer your question, I will pick an alien race. And if I could pick any race from the previous games, I would pick an Alcor. I mean, how awesome would that be if you could play an Alcor character in the next Mass Effect game? I know it's not going to happen, but just imagine the dialogue options you would get if you play as an Alcor. I would love to play an Alcor. And if we don't get to play as an Alcor, I would settle with an Alcor squad mate, because that would be very amazing as well. I just love the Alcor, what can I say? And, you know, if I'm supposed to stick to the more familiar races like the Citadel species or the Council species, I don't know, maybe I'm going for a Solarian, because I think Solarians are kind of funny. And I think that most people probably go for Turians and Azari and maybe Krogans, so I think I would go for a Solarian just because. So, there you go. Okay, next question. Describe your perfect game. Well, that's a difficult one. Um, Interestingly enough, when I was younger, I sometimes fantasized about making my own game. And one of the games I had in my mind was like a game that was a mix of like super many genres. Like, you know, a bit of a shooter and a bit of a parkour game and puzzles and racing and all of that mixed together. And then at the beginning of the game, you could like choose the difficulty for each of the different parts of the game with sliders. I mean, you had to kind of reach a certain minimum difficulty. So if you wanted easier combat, you had to pick like harder puzzles or whatever. And I thought that would have been a really neat idea. I'm not sure if you have a game that kind of has that function or a similar function by now. But I know that when I was young, I thought it would be cool to have a game like that where you could fully customize like your own experience by choosing different elements and making them more or less difficult. I don't know if that would be a perfect game, but I think it would be an interesting game, and I would like to play a game like that. Alright, let's move on to the next question. Do you prefer combat in games to be with guns or swords? Well, I have to say swords. I mean, the tagline of my channel banner is hitting stuff with pointy things, which I think is a quote that I made early in Dragon Age Origins, and then I kind of used it as, a tag for my channel. However, I do think that sword play in games can be more hit and miss. I mean, guns are pretty straightforward. You shoot stuff and stuff dies. Whereas when you have to fight with swords, it can be, well, very good, but it can be very poor as well. So it's a bit more difficult to implement swords and make the sword fighting good in a game. So just because, a game has sword fighting doesn't mean it has to be good. Whereas, when you have a game with guns, I feel that I don't really notice that many differences. I'm sure people who are more focused on shooter games will disagree with that. But I think that sword play and sword combat is more interesting to me. And I like swords, so I have to go with the latter here. Alright, next question. This is an interesting one. You bring out two video game characters. One will become your friend, and the other will want to go back. The only way to go back is to kill you. Who would you want them to be? So if I understand this correctly, I can pick two characters from video games and bring them into the real world, and one will be my friend, and the other one will kill me, or want to kill me. Now I'm not sure if I can choose which one I want to be my friend and which one would be the one to kill me. If I can, I think I'm going with Cassandra from Dragon Age Inquisition to be my friend, because I like Cassandra and I think we would be great buddies. I would love to have Cassandra as a friend. As for the one who's going to kill me, that's more difficult. I guess I should pick one who is less likely to succeed. So I shouldn't pick someone like Ezio, because he would certainly kill me in like 2 minutes. How about Conrad Werner? I think he might be just sufficiently incompetent that I will be able to survive. So yeah, those would be my two characters. Of course, it kind of sucks if I can't choose who's going to be what. So in the worst case scenario, I would have Cassandra trying to kill me and Conrad Werner as a friend. So that would suck. But it might be worthwhile. But it might be worth it. And in that case, maybe I'm just going to pick like two Alcor characters, because an Alcor as a friend would be cool, and they might be too slow to kill me, so it's a win-win for me. But in the other case, it would be Cassandra and Conrad, I guess. Alright, next question. I think I maybe remember you said in a video you don't really keep up with gaming news and trailers, but even so, what do you think of Cyberpunk 2077? Think you play it on the channel when it comes out? Yes, you remember correctly. I don't really keep up with the gaming news. I don't specifically visit like gaming news websites or whatever. Most of the gaming news I get is just from, happen to see it on my Twitter or from people in my comment section. But I am aware of Cyberpunk 2077. I even saw the trailer because people told me to in my comments. And I mean, it's made by the people who made The Witcher 3. So I'm sure it's going to be a good game. And yes, I think I'm going to play it on my channel. Now, I don't think I'm going to play it right when it comes out. Because first of all, I'm sure that everyone and their mother is going to let's play it once it comes out, and I don't really want to compete with that. And secondly, in my experience, most of the people who watch my videos are people who already played the game and then watch my videos to kinda relive the experience. So I feel I should give you a head start so you can play the game, and then once you're done, you can come to my channel and watch my let's play of it. So maybe a few months after release I will go and play it, but not like on release day or whatever. But yes, it is on my list of games to be played, so you can look forward to that. Okay, next question. Are you going to be playing the rest of the Telltale game series, like The Wolf Among Us, Tales from the Borderlands, Batman, Game of Thrones? Yes, probably not all of them, but at least a few of them. I mentioned at the end of The Walking Dead 2 that I would like to take a break from The Walking Dead and instead try a different Telltale game, like Wolf Among Us, Tales from the Borderlands. I'm not sure about Batman, Game of Thrones. I probably won't be playing Game of Thrones simply because I haven't seen the TV show. So I'm not sure if I should watch the TV show before playing the game, or if the game is going to spoil the show for me. I don't know, so I may skip on that. But especially The Wolf Among Us and Tales from the Borderlands are games that I will most likely play in the future. Okay, the next question. If you had to switch your life with that of one of your video game antagonists, who would it be? That's a good one. I have two ideas for this one. The first would be Loghain from Dragon Age Origins, simply because there's actually a chance that Loghain survives the game. I mean, he didn't survive in my game, but I know it's possible. So maybe I should pick him just for a certain likelihood of survival. I mean, that's a good reason, right? And the second antagonist I would pick is Rodrigo Borgia from Assassin's Creed. Because, first of all, yes, he does survive the first game. I mean, he will probably die in a second, that's my guess anyway. But I mean, he had a pretty good life until then. I mean, he's Pope, he's rich, he's powerful. That's not the worst life to live as an antagonist. And, I mean, he's going to die, but at a sort of advanced age. So, I think if I had to live an antagonist's life, his life is not the worst. So I guess I'm going to pick him. Okay, and that's actually all of the questions that are, in relation to my channel and games and gaming. So I think I'm going to go to the third category, which are questions that don't really fit the other two categories and are just, assorted strange questions. Okay, first question. Say something cool sounding in German, like your favorite quote, saying, or similar. Well, I don't really have a favorite quote, and if I had, it probably would be in English. However, I got a question in German asking basically the same thing, so I'm going to read that German question, and then you will hear me speak German. I hope that's enough for you. So here's the German question. Kannst du mal ein paar Sätze auf Deutsch sagen? Möchte wissen, wie du dich auf Deutsch anhörst. Du kannst damit anfangen, diese Frage vorzulesen und ins Englische zu übersetzen. Und wieso nicht auch noch ins Japanische, wenn du schon dabei bist? So, this was the German question. I will translate into English. Can you say a few sentences in German? I would like to know how you sound in German. You could start by reading this question and then translate it into English. And why not translate it into Japanese as well while you're at it? Okay, so we had the question in German, in English, and now I'm going to translate it into Japanese. ドイツ語で話すことができますか？それは聞きたいと思います。例えば、この質問を読めて、英語に翻訳できます。ついでに日本語も翻訳してください。So, there you go. The same question in 3 languages, which incidentally answers the question because it was basically just about reading it and translating it. So, let's move on to the next question. What would the different ratings be if you, the real-life person Skadi, had RPG character stats like strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma? I'm not sure if there are specific rules for that, like a maximum amount of points you can allot overall. So I'm just going to rate out of 10 for every statistic. So strength, I think I'm actually reasonably strong. You know, I can carry my own stuff. I don't have to ask for help to open bottles or whatever. So let's say 6 out of 10. Dexterity, not so much. I'm actually kind of clumsy, so let's put that at 2 out of 10. Constitution is okay, I would say. Let's put it at 6 as well. I mean, I don't do any sports of any kind except hiking, but hiking is mostly about constitution, right? Intelligence, well, I guess if I would, you know, go a bit higher on any of these categories, that would be it. So let's give it a totally non-delusional 8 out of 10. Wisdom, I don't think I'm very wise. Maybe ask me again in 30 years. 4 out of 10. And charisma, like I said in the previous AMA video, I am socially a little bit awkward, so I wouldn't put that one very high. Maybe 3 out of 10. So there you go. These are my RPG stats. Next question. When you exit a room in real life, do you ever feel the urge to look through it one additional time for ammo? No. As a matter of fact, in real life, I tend to be kinda forgetful and sometimes a little bit disorganized. So I tend to misplace stuff a lot. So I'm not as thorough as I tend to be in video games. So no, I don't. Maybe I should. So I'm a little bit less disorganized. Next question. Thoughts on exotic pets? Shouldn't people just stick to cats and dogs? Forming a bond with a tarantula seems unrealistic. I don't know. I actually thought about getting a tarantula at some point because, I don't know, I think that would be kind of cool. So, whatever you prefer. Of course, you know, with some exotic animals, the problem is mostly about giving them an adequate home. I mean, dogs and cats are used to live with humans. They are, you know, fully domesticated. Some exotic pets probably should stay in the wilds. But a tarantula, I can see myself having such a pet. Okay, next question. How many days would you survive in a zombie apocalypse? Maybe 2 days, 3 at the most. Honestly, I think I wouldn't stand a single chance. I don't really have any useful survival skills whatsoever, other than what you learn by hiking. So I guess I can find my way through a forest and I can walk for like a day without getting tired. But that's about it. And my other skills, I mean, yes, I speak different languages. I can give you a 2 hour presentation about the origin and history of Indo-European languages without even having to prepare for it. I know my way around a computer, so I can like build and maybe repair computer if it's not getting too detailed. But none of that would really help me in a zombie apocalypse, I guess. Plus, I would probably be the kind of person that's always like, hey, we should work together, we should help each other. And yeah, I'm not sure if I would get far with that. So yeah, hopefully no zombie apocalypse will come upon me, because I wouldn't have a single chance. I would be like the Ben or the Sara, probably. You know, not useful at all. Okay, next question. If you were a superhero fighting completely fucked up criminals, what kind of justice would you dispense? Are there several types of justices? Justices? I don't know, but I guess the boring answer would be I would just hand them over to law enforcement, and then they get a trial and get punished according to their crime. But that would be boring, so I'm going to pick a different answer. I was always fascinated by the stories in Greek mythology about Hades, where, you know, evildoers are made to perform certain tasks that are kind of pointless and stupid, and they have to do them over and over and over again, like, you know, filling a bucket of water by using a sieve, so it never ends. So it's not like our version of hell, where people like literally get tortured with fire and brimstone and you know, a lot of physical pain, but you know, just some poetic punishment where people are made to perform really stupid tasks. So I guess it would be something like that. Maybe not for all eternity, but you know, long enough if they're really fucked up criminals. So yeah, that's what I would choose, I guess. Okay, next question. How do you get sick so often? I didn't realize that I do. I mean, I do get my annual cold, which usually messes up my voice quite badly, so I can't record for a week or two. But other than that, I don't really get sick much. Not every time when I have to take a break or skip a upload, it's because I'm sick. Most of the time it's, well, in recent months I had a bunch of technical problems, but if it's not that, it's usually just because I have a life, and sometimes that life interferes with my recording schedule. So yeah, I don't think I get sick more than other people. Okay, next question. Have you ever gotten into a fist fight as an adult? If so, please tell us a story. I am sorry to tell you that I have never gotten into a fist fight. But if I did, I would be able to defend myself, because I actually have a green belt in Jiu-Jitsu. I used to take classes when I was at school, so it's been a while ago, but I have a green belt. Now that I think about it, I could actually add that as survival skills for a zombie apocalypse, right? I mean, like I said, I haven't really done anything in years, so I am out of practice, but I know the techniques, so I guess I hope that if it ever comes to that, I would be able to use these skills. Okay, next question. Can you stop Brexit, please, Skadi? Honestly, I feel that the Brits are doing a pretty good job at stopping it themselves already, because at this point they were supposed to be Brexited already, and they're not. So, I don't know. Maybe they just plan to delay it further and further until everyone else has forgotten about it. I don't know. It's quite a mess. It's quite a mess. Okay, and finally we have the last question from Marco, and it's also going to be the final question of this AMA. And the last one that I can think of for now is also the most controversial one. Might split your viewership in half. Here goes. Pineapple on pizza, delicious or an abomination? I don't mind it. I mean, it's not my favorite type of pizza, but I would eat it. I do eat it. I mean, sweet and salty can be quite tasty. I also like, sweet and sour style Asian food. So yeah, Pizza Hawaii, bring it on. Okay, that's it. That's all of the questions I have in my document here. I hope I haven't missed any questions. I tried to collect them from AskFM and Twitter and my YouTube channel, so I hope I didn't overlook anything. If I forgot to answer your question, or if you have any other questions, I am going to keep my AskFM, so you can go there and ask me questions, and I will answer it on AskFM. I didn't do it for the question this time because, I'm going to publish this video, but for any further questions, I will actually answer them on AskFM. So go ahead and ask me stuff if you like. So yeah, I guess that concludes this video. Thank you so much for asking me all these questions, and thank you even more for sticking around my channel, for subscribing and watching my videos and liking my videos. This is more than I ever expected when I started this channel, so I'm really grateful for that. You're all awesome, and I hope you will continue to support my channel, so maybe in the future I can make another subscriber milestone video. So yeah, let's end it here, and I'm just going to say thank you for watching, and see you again next time.